Zoom team, anything?
Hillary said, the building blocks of reality. This should be a board game, creating universes with the three shapes.
I love that idea.
I'd play it.
Yeah. All right. Homework assignment. Make a board game about how you create the cosmos using the three basic shapes.
Maybe it would be better as like a virtual reality game where you can actually like interface with the shapes and like build, because I think a board game would be limiting. But that'd be a cool way to learn about it, you know, of like dimension hopping and like building things in VR. It'd be a good way for kids to learn.
100%. And I've got a friend who's big into augmented reality, and he wants to use it with this, because some of the practices that arise are in meditation, visualizations, these sorts of things. And so it's good to work your imagination that way. But it's a lot easier as a training mechanism to sit there. Like, you don't have to imagine a tetrahedron. You can see it there. You can build it. And I saw Ryan doing like Doctor Strange kind of movements. And so this stuff is fascinating, because then you start to see it encoded into all of, like, there are people who do know about this, right? And so like Disney is obviously in on it, and there's some really interesting videos where you can look in old Donald Duck cartoons, and you like there's actually like a Donald Duck sacred geometry reel, and it's wild how they show it all, like, and the animation is amazing, and it's this like it's actually like an occult teaching encoded through Donald Duck. And so Disney as an organization, it's like there's a bunch of occult esoteric stuff that they're up to, but I believe that they've turned to the good side, and the Marvel universe is the expression of that. Like, hey, look, this is the reality that's possible if we can master our metaphysical selves and learn to organize our energy and apply geometric structures skillfully. We can tap into the very nature of reality and start to manifest in really powerful, magical ways. Magic being science that we just don't understand yet. Yeah.
Should we switch to mics?
Yeah, that's a good idea. So this represents the conclusion of part 2.
Would you argue that like everybody's muted?
Wait, we can't hear you guys at all now.
Oh, how about now?
Oh, yes.
It's so funny to have the like reverberating, because it's like we're talking about multi-dimensional metaverse stuff, and like every time it reverberates, like, whoa, where are we? So the question was, like, with Disney, are they putting that stuff out on purpose, or are they just like, oh, it's cool math? And I think it's on purpose. I think people receiving it impacts them on subconscious levels. And you see this stuff like the rule of threes in art and design. Like, there's some stuff we like and some stuff we don't. And most people who aren't trained in it couldn't tell you why I like this one and not that one. So it's working, but on a subconscious level. But the people who are creating it definitely doing it on purpose. Although there are also examples of people who are just like, I don't know, that's just the way I did it. It's just the way it made sense to me. And that's a real thing too. Yeah, totally. Great question. So, okay, end of part 2. Brilliant. Moving right along. Let's see. Let me just pause for a moment and see. There we go. I need to change the audio settings. I was trying to be clever and have the Zoom audio come out through my little Bluetooth speaker, but let's not get too fancy here. Okay. Part 3. I'd like to hide this again. Whew. tea break. Everybody doing okay? We're
That's a lot.
hanging in there? It's a lot. Yeah.
It's great though.
We're how are we doing on time? We're 40% of the way through. Oh, we're doing great. Doing great. Okay. We've got a little bio break happening live in person here. Right now, if we need a bio break, now would actually be a good moment. We're sort of like, good. Yeah, go for it.
Thinking about Disney and Hollywood subtly introducing these ideas without being direct
Yeah.
just makes me wonder. I mean, there's a lot of different rabbit holes and directions we can go in with that idea, but like, why wouldn't they want us to know about this? Is it because we've become too powerful and too self-aware? And if that's the case, why would they be introducing these concepts at all?
Right. It's a great question. And I think the hypothesis is right. Like, if we all knew this and knew how to use it, it's a very powerful thing. It's connecting us directly to the creative forces of the cosmos. But in order to wield their own power, they also have to use it. Right? In order to make it work, like, they have to use it. And so they use it and show it to us, because I think there's also a free will issue where there are very harsh consequences for violations of free will on a karmic level, right? So if you're violating someone's free will, your karmic consequences are super heavy. And so there's this whole concept that they have to, in order to wield power and manipulate society the way they want to, the capital T, they, in this circumstance, right? Then they have to subtly, subconsciously get our consent. And so they have to show us all these symbols and project what they're going to do and allow us to get used to it, so that when it happens, we're all okay with it.
Like they're priming us?
Something like that. Yeah, grooming, priming. Yeah. So you see, like, 70% of the country disagrees with pretty much everything Congress does. And, like 80% of the country agrees on something that Congress is not doing. Why is there not revolution in the streets? Why are we not changing the voting structure to get people who actually represent us? Because there's like this, we're like docile and complacent and busy with other things. And so there's obviously this manipulation happening that goes against the best interest and the will of the people. And so how are they doing that? And I would argue, like, culturally, astrology gets sort of like made fun of a lot in official circles, but Ronald Reagan did everything according to his astrologer, didn't he? And wasn't he successful at initiating an agenda, which we're still living through Reaganomics? Like, he and Thatcher totally screwed up the whole global economy and the idea that there is no society, there's only individuals, right? So yeah, there's power there, and all the symbols, and looking at the dollar bill is a whole trip, and like getting into sort of like conspiratorial realms. But it's also like, it's not it is a conspiracy in that, like, hey, like, let's get together and design this very powerful symbol and put it out for everybody to use. Yeah. So this is like the geopolitical interlude at halftime here. Talking about,
so relaxing.
Yeah, so relaxing. but here's the thing. So like, there's all these symbols, like a pentagram, right? That people are like, oh, it's devil worship or whatever. It's like, a symbol is just a symbol is just a symbol. And until you assign it meaning and use it in a particular way. Swastika is a beautiful symbol from ancient Vedic culture. And look how it's been manipulated and changed. And so that's the power of this work, where if you know what the symbols are and how they function, you can then do mathemagic, right? You can use that power to whatever your end is. And so my intent is benevolent, and I believe all of yours is here as well. And so it's actually a way of fighting back on subtle levels, because it doesn't take much to recognize that there's psychic warfare going on in this planet, right? There's propaganda everywhere. Gaslighting on a mass level. There's, climate, there's nothing wrong with the climate. Everything's normal. Everything's normal. What, you don't believe your lying eyes, right? Like, there's all this confusion, which is, there's some battle for control and power. And so by understanding the nature of reality, the geometry of consciousness on a very fundamental level, we then take back power and at least have, we're not showing up with a knife to a gunfight, right? Show up, oh, but I've got good intentions. And like the naivete of well-intentioned people is what allows narcissists to take power and manipulate, right? I can't even imagine that they would even think that way. It's like, yeah, well, that's why they get away with it. That's why we have the power structures that we do, is because we're all so innocent. Oh, but doesn't everybody just want to love their family and eat good food and listen to good music? Isn't it like, what more does humanity want? Why can't we just have a garden planet like that? Because people want power, because there's this whole other structure happening. So
if you were to root that back to the dimension 0, though, I mean, I wrote this down. I don't know if you can speak to this.
Yeah.
But I said, would the creator therefore have ego if there's a desire to deviate from ultimate bliss? Because if you're in this dimension 0 that is the pinnacle of what humanity more or less strives for, the only thing that can deviate from that is some sort of polarity, which in this case would be egotistical.
Yeah, right. So going from in that dimension 0, there's no concept of I, which is ego, right? The I thought.
Okay.
Excuse me. Because there's no you. There can be no I if there's no you.
Got
right?
it.
So when it's all condensed in one thing, it's egoless, because it's just everything is nothing is everything, and all at once. The moment there is that separation, all of a sudden there's I thou. And so then there's relationship. And so that differentiation is what gives rise to all subsequent creation, which is in Vedic philosophy, it's Krishna Lila, right? It's all just the play. It's all here to amuse us. It's all just a big game to play and experiment, and like, oh, what happens if I human like this? Oh, I'm going to go human like that now. And wild. This is extremely painful. I'm suffering terribly. This is joyful. This is amazing, right? It's all just this big game to play and experiment in, which is very interesting, right? And nature of creation is to create. And so what has been helpful for me has been to reorganize my relationship to the idea of ego as like, ego must be eradicated, like all the yogis trying to get rid of ego, right? Whereas one of the definitions of ego would be to say, ego is the force that lets every individual cell in your body know that it's part of a larger whole. It's the self-organizing force that lets me operate my body as an understanding that it's different than your body. And like, yes, on a metaphysical level, are we made of the same stuff and one together in that original source? Absolutely. And on this relative plane, I get to play my game, you get to play your game, and the ego is a necessary tool for that, right? If you're gonna play a video game, you have to pick your character. You don't just get to be the omniscient narrator in the video game. If you want to play, you got to pick a character, and you can be the banker or the doctor or the whatever, but either way, you're going to die of dysentery, right? Or you're gonna ford the river and make it to Oregon, and so that's for me the healthy relationship with ego. And so it's not a question of getting rid of ego or ego as a bad thing. It's skillful use of ego, and ideally that's what this work helps us do, and is ultimately one of the practical outcomes, is understanding what does our ego actually consist of, what are the structures that define it. And then once I know the ingredients, then I can pick and choose and, you know, make a nice soup out of it that is functional and pleasing and have healthy boundaries and, you know, a semi-permeable boundary where it's like, cool, like some people like, yeah, get in here, I want a big hug from you. Other people's like, cool, like you're 6 feet away from me, right? That does that
Yeah,
make
that
sense to
makes
you? Answer the question
Yeah.
in a way.